Now, I know you motherfuckers have been bored as shit the last few days, and I get it, I understand. And you've been listening to everybody else babble on about this alibi, and now I'm gonna babble on, so not Babylon, yes. Anyway, now you get it from me. Guys, I'm thejbgunner, and this is Crime Time. Today we're gonna be discussing Bryan Kohberger's alibi. And of course, you guys know I have three positions here. A, I think Bryan Kohberger is innocent at this point in time. B, I think Ann Taylor's a complete sack of shit public defender that he should not be using as his lawyer at this moment. And C, I think the alibi is shit. I think it's horrible. I think it's basically non-existent. However, there might be some good things that came out of this recent filing, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. Before we do, I just want to say first and foremost, thank you to everybody that supports the channel, any of my channels, regardless of platform, regardless of method, whether it's Cash App, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal. Truth is, guys, I couldn't do this each and every day as often as I do if it wasn't for you, the Gun Squad. Love you guys. Big shout out to you. Guys, I had to get some moving in, but I'm secure now. I got everything where it should be, and so it is what it is. But anyways, trying a new studio setup right now. I'm not sure if I like it, but we're going to move anyway. If you guys like what I do here, feel free to hit those links. Join the channel. You can also find some of my other content. You know how it goes. Support the channel. Gun Squad all the way. All right. So let's get into this, because let me say this. There's only a few content creators I respect, and only one that I watch, which is Harsh. And I think that even he might have got it wrong, right? Now everybody is trying to say that Bryan Kohberger is one of these dope fiends, one of these stoners, one of these people. And I get it, it's 420, everybody wants to talk about it. Today, all the dope fiends are dope fiending it up all day long. But I also heard something that I can counter pretty easily, Mr. Harsh. Mr. Harsh says, stoners don't kill people. Have you seen black people? Black people smoke blunts and shit all day long, and they'll pop caps and motherfuckers all day long. You understand, gangbangers and shit, they smoke weed all day long. I'm just saying, this belief that somehow stoners don't hurt people, I disagree with you completely, and all of you. Now listen, I don't care. If you people want to be dope fiends and get high all damn day, feel free. I drink, so I understand. But I'm not going to sit here and act like stoners are harmless, just like the people that act like weed is harmless. No, I'm pretty sure it still fucks up your lungs. And yes, stoners kill people. Do I think Bryan Kohberger's a stoner? I don't know. I know that he's an incredibly smart person that achieves a lot, and I ain't known many stoners to do that. I ain't known many stoners that are working on their PhD. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this story. And I know some of you guys are gonna argue that you're gonna have a problem with it, and I don't give a fucking suck my dick. I don't care. I don't give a shit at all. But when it comes to this, I guess the alibi will only be improved if they have proof that he was in where he says he was. Let's go ahead and get to it. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit here. Let me blow this up. Can I move this shit out of my way? Can I move this bullshit out of my way? Probably not. I guess I'm just a fuck up. Nope, I guess I can't. Fuck him. Anyways, so let's go ahead and look at this. In the district court of the second jury, blah, blah, blah. We already know what all this is. So this is response to the alibi demand. Comes now, Bryan C. Kohberger, by and through his attorney of record, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, hereby files a supplemental response to the demand for alibi. Mr. Kohberger moved to Pullman, Washington in June of 2022. As an avid runner and hiker, he explored many areas of the Palouse. Now, let me say this. I don't look like it. I don't look like it, but I can pretty much guarantee that I've hiked more miles than any person watching this. I've hiked the entire Appalachian Trail twice, once in a straight through shot, but I put in easily almost 5,000 miles on the Appalachian Trail. I've hiked halfway through the Florida Trail twice. So I would say hiking miles, I'm easily over 10,000 in my life. probably closer to 20,000. The problem is all the damn drinking and eating I do when I'm not hiking. But hey, it is what it is. So I understand where we're going with this. As a hiker, as someone that likes to hike, and when I say hike, I mean long distance hike. A lot of you people just go out for walks. But even with a day hike, you need probably about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. That's a good hike. That's how if you hike 2 miles per hour, which is what the average is, in order to hike 8 to 10 miles, you're going to need 4 or 5 hours. If you're a slower hiker, obviously, but I would say Bryan Kohberger, probably, if he's an avid hiker, probably, it depends on how much pack weight he's carrying, 2 to 3 miles an hour, but the average is 2. So, with him going to school all day, and then him still wanting to hike, I think it's a very likely scenario that he has to go to the national park at night, or state park, whatever it is. But anyway, let's go ahead and check this out. Of note, he explored Wawawi Park in July of 2022, and this became his favorite location. Makes sense to me. He's from the Poconos. Listen, anybody that's ever hiked through Pennsylvania knows there's a lot of hiking out there. So if you can find one in Washington, which there's actually a lot of good hiking spots in Washington. So for him to go out here, and let me also explain this to you. I want to explain this to you before you go any further. Guys, when you're in the middle of a forest, your cell phone cuts off. Any other hikers here? They'll tell you it's the truth. Anyway, after the school year began, Mr. Kohberger was busy with classes and work at Washington State University, and his running and hiking decreased but did not stop. Instead, his nighttime drives increased. This is supported by data from Mr. Kohberger's phone showing him in the countryside late at night and or in the early morning on several occasions. So it sounds to me like Mr. Kohberger did a lot of night hiking. Now, this also could be bad because if they found headlamps at Mr. Kohberger's, which every hiker has, headlamps. We all have them. They could use that against him too. I hope to God on November 13th, his phone data shows him in the mountains, which is very possible. On photos showing him in countryside late at night or in early morning on several occasions, but that doesn't say anything. And this is why I say the alibi is still bullshit. That doesn't mean anything unless he was there that night. The phone data includes numerous photographs taken on several different late night evenings and early mornings, including in November, depicting the night sky. But was it November 13th? Mr. Kohberger was out driving in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, as he often did, to hike and run and or see the moon and stars. Makes sense. He drove throughout the area south of Pullman, Washington, west of Moscow, Idaho, including Wawawi Park. Let's hope the phone data shows this. Partial corroboration. Mr. Kohberger intends to offer testimony of Cy-Ray, CSLI expert, cell tower, cell phone, and other radio frequency curricula vitae is attached, to show that Mr. Kohberger's mobile device was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho on November 13, 2022. If that phone data shows him at the forest, it's it. To me, this is a home run. And it will show that Bryan Kohberger's mobile device did not travel east of Moscow-Pullman Highway in the early morning hours of November 13th, and thus could not be the vehicle captured on video along the Moscow-Pullman Highway near Floyd's cannabis shop. Now, I want you to hear me out, because all the internet people all they read is Floyd's weed shop. And they say, Bryan Kohberger was doping it up. No, it wasn't. They said it didn't go that way. It didn't say Bryan Kohberger stopped at Floyd's cannabis shop, you dummy. It said that the car that was captured on video by Floyd's weed shop couldn't have been Kohberger's, because Kohberger didn't go by Floyd's weed shop. He was busy at the forest. But of course, all the internet people are like, see, Kohberger's a smoker, blah, blah, blah. No, dummies. Instead, he didn't go that way. Read it again. I know all you weed heads are like, yeah, he's one of us. Maybe he's not. Because that's not what this document said. All right? That's not what this document said at all. All right? Let's read it again. And thus could not be the vehicle captured, on the highway near Floyd's cannabis shop. That means Kohberger did not go to the cannabis shop. Stop it. Additional information as to Mr. Kohberger's whereabouts as the early morning hours progressed, included additional analysis by Mr. Ray, will be provided once the state provides discovery requested and now subject. So he needs more information. If not disclosed, Mr. Ray's testimony will also reveal that critical exculpatory evidence further corroborating Mr. Kohberger's alibi was either not preserved or has been withheld. There you have it, folks. Now, I don't know if this is just a shot in the dark, because part of me feels like it is. I don't know if this is just a shot in the dark, these motherfuckers saying, let's hope. But I'm going to be honest. This seems to be the defense. Them saying, hey, he was at that goddamn forest. And the phone should corroborate that. If they are saying, if Ann Taylor right now is saying, no, they're wrong about the phone data, then if you really look at it, it will say he was in the national forest nowhere near Moscow. Why would you say that? Oh, there's two reasons. Either it's a shot in the dark, or you know it to be true. And so you go out and you get an expert that can find that data, because the prosecution clearly isn't going to give you that data. And maybe this is the problem. This is why the prosecution keeps not giving all the discovery. Because maybe the phone data does show his phone at the forest. And I keep hearing comments too, say, well, how do you know he didn't go to the forest and leave the phone in the forest and then go commit the murders? Just like, well, the same way we know you don't have an education. The same way we know you don't have any college degrees. The same way we know you're sitting on your couch with just cheese poofs oozing out of your fucking hand. Common sense would tell you, Occam's razor would tell you, that if the phone was in the forest, dummies, Bryan Kohberger was in the forest, dummies. And if Bryan Kohberger's phone pinged in the forest and then shut off for a little while, maybe he was deeper in the forest because he was hiking. Dummies. How do you know he hikes? Well, he went from a very, very fat motherfucker to a very fit motherfucker, which is typically what happens when you hike, unless you're me. It's the truth. Common sense. Let's see what we got over here. What is all the media talking about? Let's check it out. Idaho murder suspect Kohberger files alibi claiming he was out driving to see the moon and the stars. And that's what everybody keeps ranting about. So he was stargazing. Yeah, that's what hikers do. They walk and they look at the stars and the mountains. He claimed through his attorneys he was out driving on the night, as he did often, to see the moon and the stars. See how they worded that? They were as Kohberger drives around looking at the moon and the stars. No, that's not what he said. That's not what he said at all. His demanding schedule lecturing meant he didn't have time for his normal running and hiking hobbies, which made sense. Instead, he claims to have taken up driving in the past time, and says that phone records will show he frequently drove around the countryside near, well, why? Now, see, it doesn't matter if he frequently drove by it. I need to know, it needs to say that his car was there. Prosecutors say they tracked Kohberger's phone to near the home where he allegedly murdered the students. However, his attorneys also say they plan to present an expert on cell phone information to dispute this. That makes sense. It makes sense because check this out. Let's look at the phone. Kohberger's phone is picked up close to Moscow murder house between 10:34 p.m. and this is on August 21st. So what? He went to Moscow. Now let's look at the dates. November 13th, 2:42. Kohberger's phone is picked up near his home in Pullman, Washington. His phone began to travel south through Pullman, not east to Moscow, before going offline. His phone pings again south. They say south of Moscow, Highway 95. And then it arrived back at his home. Phone is picked up near Moscow murder house, 9:32 a.m., they say, the next day. Kohberger drives past Kate's Cup of Coffee stand at 12:36 p.m. and Albertsons, 12:46. So the only time they have him near the murder house was in August and I guess the next day, on the 14th, is what they're saying. But if you remember, they said themselves that they said themselves that when Kohberger's phone picked up at 9:32 that next day, Kohberger wasn't in Moscow. Remember they said that? So it sounds to me like it's the fucking prosecution whose phone shit's all fucked up. All I can say is I hope these motherfuckers have data that shows he was at that forest. I really do. What's Bumfield say? Let's listen to this bitch.
So if I asked my teenager where he was last night, and he said to me, I was out driving around alone all night with my phone switched off. Didn't interact with a single person.
Yeah.
Let's just say it would be the beginning of our conversation. It would not be the end of it.
Kohberger's a grown man, you stupid whore. Do you understand that? Kohberger's not your fucking snot-nosed punk kid. It's a grown man with a full job and schooling. I'm just saying. Kohberger's a grown man that has reasons to be out.
But that's exactly what Bryan Kohberger told an Idaho court tonight by way of an alibi.
Right.
For the murders of 4 university students in their off-campus.
Yes, people go hike. People go hang out in the forest. I do it all the time. Alone.
House. And I'm going to read you, word for word, some of the latest filing, but I want to get Richard Block in here with me. He's a criminal defense attorney, practices in Idaho. So, Richard, this happened late this evening, Eastern Time, and I want to read exactly what Ann Taylor filed with the court, because the judge pushed when they said they would file an alibi and said he was out driving around. The judge said, more details, please, and this is what Ann Taylor filed regarding Bryan's habit of nighttime driving. Quote, after the school year began, Mr. Kohberger was busy with classes and work at Washington State University, and his running and hiking decreased, but did not stop. Instead, his nighttime drives increased. This is supported by data from Mr. Kohberger's phone, showing him in the countryside late at night and or in the early morning on several occasions.
That's right.
The phone data includes numerous photographs taken on several different late evenings and early mornings, including in November, depicting the night sky.
Look, man, if his phone isn't there that night, this shows you how bad Ann Taylor is. If Bryan Kohberger's phone is not there that night, that shows you, I mean, not at the forest that night, this shows you how bad Ann Taylor is. Ann Taylor's like, he couldn't have been there. Like, for instance, let's say all I normally did was play, WWE 2K back there, right? And then I was accused of murder. And I had some lawyer being like, JB couldn't have did it. He was playing 2K24 and getting drunk. How do you know? Because I have pictures of him on all these other days playing 2K24 and getting drunk. It's dumb. You guys have me on here doing live streams every day, typically. That doesn't mean on my day off I didn't do some shit. This is why I say the lawyer's a sack of shit. The lawyer's dumb.
Right. Mr. Kohberger was out driving in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022.
She's just dumb.
Did, to hike and run and or see the moon and the stars. He drove through the area south of Pullman, Washington, west of Moscow, Idaho, including Wawahi Park. So, Richard Block, just what's your reaction to that as a lawyer?
So, obviously it's not the strongest alibi we've ever
No.
heard, right? It's not, I was at the Dodge game and here's the video. But it's not as weak as it sounds.
Right.
You got to remember a couple things. First of all,
Exactly.
the night sky in Idaho is terrific.
Right.
There's reasons people come out here to go see the sky. We have craters of the moon out here. It's really great.
You hear the dumb bum field in the background? He's not joking, bitch.
And second, we've got a little bit of cooperation here. We have the photos from his phone that they're telling us that they have, including him taking pictures of the night sky in November. So this is apparently something he does. The second part of that I think is really interesting is later in that filing is when they're talking about how much evidence they don't have because they don't have all the stuff off the phone, which may show more of this.
Right.
So it's not as weak as it sounds right off the bat. It's not the greatest explanation.
You're so good at your job. You are really good at. If I ever murder someone, I'm hiring you. But I do want to say this. I've been out late at night a lot as well. And I'm not worried about someone calling me and interrupting my stargazing at 4 o'clock in the morning.
No, I don't think you understand, dummy. We put our phones in airplane mode when we're hiking so our phone doesn't go dead. She's a dumb bitch. And here's the truth. When you're hiking and you continuously are getting notifications through all these apps and phone calls and texts, he didn't put his phone in airplane mode because he didn't want to be bothered. He put it in airplane mode to preserve battery. Dumb bitch. That is why we put our phone in airplane mode. Because when you're out there and it's searching, you ever seen your phone say searching? It's constantly eating up your battery because it's working. That's the truth. This bitch is stupid as shit.
So I don't see a need to turn my phone off.
That's what airplanes forward mode is for, dummy.
Exactly in the hour that those students were murdered. And one of the other propensities he has is to drive around ogling that house because they have plenty of digital evidence from his phone that pinged him at or around that house.
At or around that house. There's a 27 square mile radius with them pings. Wrong.
Multiple times
Wrong.
in the 3 to 4 months prior to those murders. Isn't that a little bit troublesome and sort of also diminishes this adorable story?
Not at all. Adorable story.
Well, we obviously don't know how strong all that evidence is, just like we don't know how strong the defense's evidence is.
Exactly.
Most of the things that we've heard come from the police, which are incredibly biased source. They never tell the whole story. I don't know how many times I've seen an affidavit of probable cause that turned out to be misrepresentation after misrepresentation after misrepresentation.
Bam!
So let's take that, what they said with a grain of salt. That being said, these are problems in the case. These are things that the defense is going to have to deal with and have to try and explain.
I 100% agree with him.
Doesn't mean they don't have an alibi, and it doesn't mean it's not important that they let the judge know about this because there's a rule that
Exactly.
says you have to.
If I were a juror, I wouldn't want a grain of salt. I want a big old bag of salt if I heard that story in that courtroom. I would be mad. I would think about those 4 murders.
And that's because all you think with is emotions and not fucking facts, because you're a dumb, stupid cunt that has already put your money on Kohberger's guilt. So anything that may make you reconsider that belief, you have a problem with. Well, I still think he's innocent, so it is what it is. And actually, I'm to the point where even if he's not, I don't give a fuck. I'm rooting for him. Give me a Kohberger jersey. I'm gonna wear that motherfucker. Just because. I'm so tired of all the dumbassery. I'm tired of the bum fields. I'm tired of it. Man, I don't give a shit. This is a game of Clue to me. I'm not emotionally attached to any of these cases. I'm not one of you people that thinks I'm a detective. I'm trying to make the world better, blah, blah. Man, I just drink and do my shit and provide commentary and then go watch wrestling. So I don't even actually care if he's guilty or not. I don't think he's guilty, but I'm to the point now where I just want him to be innocent, or at least found innocent. And if that happens to not be what really happened, I don't give a fuck. Guys, if you like what I do here and you find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Let me know what you think. I think his alibi is weak a little bit, unless it shows he was in the forest and then clearly went into airplane mode. That would be intriguing, wouldn't it? I'll see you guys later.